Hi there, Eclexic here again. With the release of Heliboard 4.0, the Heliboard gesture data project is going to move into Phase 2. The video explaining Phase 1 is linked in the description in case you need to get caught up. Also in the description is the announcement for the NLNet grant that's sponsoring this project. First, we're changing active gathering to collect more common words. While the data you've collected so far is incredible, it's time that we swapped focus away from algorithm validation and towards enabling machine learning. Collecting more common words will help with that. We're changing focus now because we've somehow managed to collect over 700,000 examples. Far more than I expected, but a welcome surprise to be sure. Thank you so much for getting us this far. I think that it's incredible, and there's no way that I could have done this by myself. It would have taken hundreds of hours and almost certainly have given me a repetitive strain injury in the process. I'm also painfully monolingual despite my best efforts. And there's just simply no way that I could have covered the dozens of languages you guys have gotten so far. I hope that you decide you'd like to contribute more before the end of the collection period. I am very grateful. And yeah, thanks. My hope is to have over 2 million active gathering examples by November 30th. This is very achievable if we keep the current pace, so I would deeply appreciate if you keep trying to spread the word. Now, for the biggest news. Helium has been working very hard on a new feature for Heliboard 4.0. We're going to be rolling out background data collection. This video is to show you how to opt into it while preserving your privacy. You can find a wiki page that covers the same information as this video linked in the description. Before we begin, it's my firm opinion that active gathering produces more valuable data than background gathering does. You shouldn't let the presence of background gathering dissuade you from doing active gathering. You can think of background gathering more as a supplement rather than a substitute. We want as much active gathering data as we can get. When you opt into background data collection, you allow Heliboard to gather the gestures you type during daily use. You will still have control over when, where, and what data you allow to be collected. Background data collection can be turned off at any time, and all the data still has to be submitted by email. We have guards in place to help protect your privacy, but ultimately, your privacy is in your hands. Heliboard is licensed under the GPL v3, which provides no warranty whatsoever. If you mistakenly email us data that would compromise your privacy in some way, there will be no legally liable party. We ask you to carefully consider whether you really want to enable background gathering before you do so. If background gathering feels too risky for you, there's no problem in only using active gathering or even simply letting people know about the project. These are valid ways to contribute, and every bit of help is appreciated. Active and background gathering have some key differences. Background gathering produces more data, and it's from your natural vocabulary. However, it requires that you gesture more in line with the way the current library works. And whenever you gesture a word, but don't correct it using the suggestions provided to you, we can't know whether it's a typo or not. This critical ambiguity is the reason that I believe that active gathering is more useful. Correcting typos right away by using the suggestion bar before going on to the next word is the way to produce the highest quality background data. If the word you want isn't in the suggestions, then deleting the word and gesturing it again is the best option. Fixing typos on a second pass before you send a message will work. However, it will not produce as much valuable data as fixing typos immediately as they show up. Once you send a message, the only way to remove typos from the data is via the review screen. Editing messages you've already sent won't fix the typos in the data. Now, let's cover Heliboard's privacy features for background collection. Only gestures are collected, no words that you tap type, nor anything that you copy-paste. You'll not be credited by name or email in any gesture data releases. All the gestures are mixed in together, and they don't even have anonymous user IDs attached to them. However, this is mostly obfuscation, as typically it's easy to identify gestures made by the same person. Data in sensitive fields will not be collected. This means as long as the app you're using follows best practices, passwords and other private data probably shouldn't be collected. However, this is not foolproof. One very powerful tool we have to avoid collecting usernames and passwords is limiting collection to words found in the dictionaries we use for active gathering. words you have to teach Heliboard will not be collected. Unfortunately, this also means that custom dictionaries will not be helpful in producing any background data. Data is not collected from apps excluded from the block list. Every app is blocked by default to prevent accidentally collecting data from newly installed apps, but you do have the ability to change this behavior. You have to manually change the app block list to collect any background data at all, even if background collection is on. Only one suggestion is included with each word that you gesture. The rest are redacted. This could be the word that first showed up, or it could be a suggestion that you corrected it to. When exporting data, any data for gestures from the blocked word list will not be exported. We recommend blocking your first name, last name, street name, and maybe the names of your friends or the city or territory you live in. It may be appropriate to block the names of other locations you talk about often, such as work or places you commonly go. Background data can only be exported from the review screen. Background data will not export from the active gathering screen. Collected gestures can be sorted alphabetically or chronologically. You can delete words by swiping right, or you can block them by tapping the word and then tapping Exclude Word from Background Gathering. On export, the order of your gestures is shuffled, and the timestamps used to sort them are discarded. This prevents anyone from reconstructing what you said, including me. This indicator is to remind you Heliboard is watching. When it's an empty red circle, Heliboard is watching for gestures to record. A filled red circle means at least one word has been recorded, but not yet saved. An empty green circle means gestures are actively being saved. When Heliboard is not watching, the indicator will not be present. In addition to the normal features of incognito mode, it will also stop Heliboard from recording gestures. This gesture squiggle toolbar button can have two functions depending on if you're using the normal background gathering mode or the discard by default background gathering mode. Normally, pressing this button will throw away gestures Heliboard has recorded but not yet saved. Holding this button for a few seconds will also disable collection for 5 minutes. In this mode, gestures are saved anytime you send a message, switch apps, or the text field otherwise changes. If you instead use the discard by default background gathering mode, nothing you gesture will be collected unless you press this button. In this mode, Heliboard assumes you'd like to discard all data, unless you say otherwise. This is safer, but it's also far less convenient. We think it's best to keep either the gesture gathering button or the incognito button pinned to your toolbar. Your last line of defense is to ask me to delete all of your background data before it is released. You should think of this as an absolute last resort. I am a fallible and very overworked human being. I accept no legal liability, but I will do my best to protect your privacy. That's it. Don't forget to share the original video and this one with people who may want to contribute. We're always looking for more data contributions. If you'd like to contact me, you can find my Mastodon and Matrix handles in the description. We are approaching the point where code contributions would be welcomed as well, but we aren't quite there yet. Think carefully before you send in any background data. When I release the data around Christmas time, there's not going to be any take-backsies. Only you can prevent self-doxing. All right. Thanks for contributing. Toodles.